Today we're going to open up a Husqvarna 120i battery powered chainsaw, and first we'll show you what all is in the contents of the box here, what all it comes with, and then we'll take this thing out and give it a little test run. So of course in the box there we've got the battery. This is a BLI 20 battery. You can see it right there. Now this is different than the Pro Series batteries. I'll show you a little something quick here. On the BLI 20s, the residential series batteries, they've only got the three LEDs there. We're down pretty far with our charge on this one, but on the Pro Series batteries, they have 4 LEDs on there on your meter to show you how much power is left in them. So put that aside for now. Then of course we've got our QC80 charger. Charge up the battery. QC80, that's the slower charger out of all of them, but it still does a pretty good job. Charges the batteries up fairly quick. We got some we got a quick start guide there. Got some more paperwork in here, I'm sure. Once we get everything out. Yeah, here's our operator's manual. Do yourself a favor, read through that before you start playing with this thing. I mean, we get the gas powered equipment coming back constantly. This is wrong, that doesn't work, we can't get to do this or that. And the people have never read the manual. They have no clue. When you show them how to operate the thing, they just look at you and say, well, we didn't know that. Well, you should, because every piece of equipment comes with an operator's manual. You should be looking through that. If your dealer that you bought it from didn't explain it to you, this is your way of figuring it out on your own. Not trial and error, just sit down, read it. So here's the saw itself. This is it. This is the saw. You can see this is where the battery goes here. It comes with a cover for the bar and the chain. The chain is already on it. Get it back on there. And you can see that this is a toolless chain removal. I mean, you don't have to have a wrench or a socket or anything like that. You just flip this up and then you spin that around to loosen it. And this is your adjustment right here. Put tension on the chain. This has an inertia activated chain brake, so when you're sawing through something and your hand or the saw kicks back and it hits your wrist right here, it pops that chain brake on. The chain stops instantly. To remove the chain brake, just pull back on it. Even says it right up top there. Pull back to reset. So pretty simple, pretty basic design. It's all sealed up. It has an oiler in there. You can see down below, here's the drive for the chain. It's all direct drive. The electric motor is right there. Actually, you can see the electric motor right in through the fins there. It's got these like bars here on the bottom of it, and this is actually they're actually runners. So if you take this thing up in a tree or something and you want to drop it back down, you can actually, if you have a rope tied to it or something, you can slide it back down. It's not going to be grabbing on everything. It's going to slide nice and smooth down the tree or down the branch. So that's an advantage there. The operation of them is really simple. You got your power button there, and this is your eco mode. So it reduces the power that the battery's putting out. So it saves the battery, makes it run a little bit longer. You're cutting through some real small stuff, you don't need full power. That's the way to go. And you got your safety button right here, and of course your trigger. So you've got to push this in before you can squeeze the trigger. And that's basically it. This 120i chainsaw from Husqvarna. Now this one, unlike the 500 series saw, this one has the plastic dog spikes on there because it is a residential model, but that's nothing to be too worried about, especially since, like I say, this is a residential model. This isn't going to be taking the abuse of the Pro saw like the 536 Li XP. So chances are you're never going to be getting into anything big enough where you're going to have to worry about those breaking or anything like that. The parts are replaceable. Of course, they make every part to fix these things up if something does break. So nothing to worry about there. Forgot to mention, this is your oil tank right here. This is where you put your bar oil in. And you can see it's got the flip top cap. Makes that real easy to get off there and real easy to do. And I'm sure some of you are out there saying, well, it's battery powered. I thought I wasn't going to have to worry about oil or gas or anything like that. But you still got to lubricate the chain. Don't make the mistake of thinking just because it's battery powered, you don't ever have to buy any kind of oil whatsoever for this. A chainsaw is a chainsaw. It's going to need something to lubricate the chain. You don't need anything to lubricate the engine because there is no engine. So make sure when you buy one of these, you get some bar oil to put in there because it does not come with it. So that's the basics of the saw. I guess we'll find some wood here to cut up and we'll show you how this thing works. And now we're going to do eco. All right, so you just ran the Husqvarna 120i residential grade battery powered chainsaw. What do you think? Is it pretty handy?
It's very handy. It's nice to just grab it, push power, and saw.
I mean, how did you think it cut through the wood? It went through the wood no problem, right?
Yeah, it did. It was easy. It sliced right through it. I have no complaints.
Now, what do you think as far as just having that on hand if there would be a storm or something? Would you, if you had one of these or you had a gas-powered one, which one would you go for first?
I would go for this one for sure. I mean, as long as the battery is charged, keep it somewhere handy. yeah, grab it. It'd be good to use in an emergency situation.
What about for other uses? Like, where else do you think you would use it?
It'd be nice to travel with. Put it in the back of the van. I have a minivan. You need it going camping or whatnot. That would be convenient.
So you've tried this chainsaw now. You've tried the battery-powered string trimmer and a few other products. What do you think of the battery-powered stuff overall?
I enjoy using them. They're easy to start, easy to maneuver. They're lightweight. They're powerful enough that I've gotten the jobs done that I wanted to get done.
Because you're not somebody that uses this kind of equipment every day or every week or even every month.
Not by any means, no.
So, I mean, when you go out there and you take something like this and you're cutting through the wood, you know, you have a gas-powered Husqvarna chainsaw, but are you really thinking, wow, this thing isn't performing as well as my gas-powered one? Or is it just, to you, it's a chainsaw, it's doing the job, that's all that matters?
It's doing the job, and that's all that matters.
And you don't have to mess around with gas, you don't have to make sure you got the gas on hand,
right?
Things like that.
Just grab it and go.
So here's another one for you. You live in a small neighborhood here where you've got neighbors close to you. Now, would you prefer them to be using something like this because you've got kids and stuff like that? So as far as the noise and the distractions and things, would you prefer that they use something like this or a gas-powered one?
This is definitely quieter, for sure. I didn't need to use the ear muffs. That was nice because you could still hear what's going on around you. Yeah, this is handier that way.
Now, your mom, she's somebody that has a lot of plants and into fruit trees and stuff like that, and you know, has a large property and a lot to maintain. Would you recommend something like this for her or a small gas-powered one?
This would be great. This would be easy to get up where she needs to, like, reach. And my mom is in her high 50s. This would be easy for her to hold. It's not heavy. Yeah, I'd recommend it for her.
Here's a question, not related to the saw, but more about what you were doing there. Of course, I made you wear the protective chaps, and I'm wearing the chainsaw pants. But you're a person that doesn't like to wear that kind of stuff most of the time and likes to be in breathable clothes and feel comfortable when you're doing this kind of work. How did you feel wearing those chaps? Were they too heavy? Were they too thick? Legs sweaty? I mean, were they comfortable?
No, I mean, it's a fairly decently weathered day outside, and I'm comfortable in them. It's sunny, it's a bit warm. I'm comfortable wearing them. It was easy to pick up your legs and step over the stumps and whatnot when you're walking through finding things to cut. I didn't have a problem with them. I like them. I like the peace of mind as well of your legs are safe. That's good.
Yeah, a lot of people think they're, you know, if they wear them, they're going to be constricted or, you know, not going to be able to move as easy. But I've honestly never had any problems with them, and I always recommend something like that to people that are using chainsaws. They're too readily available now to not have something like that on hand.
Right. It's a good thing to have.
So there you got to see the Husqvarna 120i in action. Got to see it cutting some wood. You got to hear a little bit of testimony and have some questions answered from somebody who has, as you saw in the little videos there, has actually ran a steel battery-powered saw and an Echo battery-powered saw, and now got the chance to run this Husqvarna 120i. You also saw the Poland Pro that we ran there, just kind of give you a little bit of comparison between that residential-grade gas-powered saw and this residential-grade Husqvarna battery-powered chainsaw. Pretty close. You know, there's not a whole lot of difference there. Just this one's probably going to outlast that Poland because there's less maintenance, there's less things to go wrong on it. And, well, you know, you get what you pay for, and sometimes you don't get what you pay for. Just leave it at that. But the big benefits here, you see them and the features, but, you know, you don't have to buy gas for this. You don't have to buy mix oil to put in the gas. You don't have rotted fuel lines. You don't have carburetor issues. You don't have to buy an air filter. You don't have to buy spark plugs. You don't have to worry about a scored cylinder from dirt being ingested into the cylinder. You don't have to worry about crankshaft seals going bad. None of that stuff.
all that you would spend money on with a regular gas-powered chainsaw is gone. Maintenance is about as minimal as you can get, and as you saw, it is made to cut wood. It's a chainsaw, and that is all it does. It just cuts wood. That is it. Yeah, we know this is not a 562 XP. This is not a Timberwolf. This is not a Farm Boss. Nobody's saying it is. Residential model battery-powered chainsaw. Just going to throw that out there before everybody wants to start making the comments about the bigger, better Pro Saws. Yeah, we know. We've got them too. But getting back to the fact of what this really is, this is for a homeowner who wants to have a chainsaw on hand and doesn't want to deal with everything else involved with owning a chainsaw. This is for somebody that wants convenience. They want to throw this in their car, not have to worry about gas fumes. This is for somebody that doesn't want to have to bother with gas, period. It's a good saw. It does the job, as you just saw in the video there. And also, as you saw in the video there, safety apparel was being worn. Now, you can't go wrong by buying a set of chaps or some chainsaw pants, something along those lines to protect yourself. You know, get some gloves, get a helmet if you're going to be cutting limbs over your head. This right here picture, this is a nice kit from Husqvarna. This is, like a consumer grade kit. Runs about $100. They're not the only ones that have this. So yeah, whatever your brand is, they've probably got something like this available. Don't skimp out, especially if you're buying a chainsaw like this. You know, you're going to be saving that money over the life of the chainsaw on everything else we already mentioned. Spend a few bucks and buy something like this. You know, you got those chaps there. Hey, use them when you're weed eating. You know, they're great for if you got to go through some briars or something like that, or you just don't want the crap all over your legs. You know, you'll find more and more uses for this stuff once you have it, but it's worth the money. You know, nobody wants to make that trip to the emergency room, so definitely look into something like this. For all the more that it costs, it is definitely worth it. You know, as I just said, nobody wants to go to the hospital and make that trip to the emergency room. This will be way cheaper than an emergency room visit. Just keep that in mind. So thanks for watching, and we'll be talking to you soon.